Welcome to 3Ps on the Pod. I am Jametrice Thomas.
I'm LB Shari.
And KellyB.
All right. How you ladies doing today?
All right.
I'm doing good.
I'm tired.
I know, right? I guess we can talk about what we were talking about previously. I've been up since 2 watching TikToks. Watching TV TikToks. Hilarious.
I just been up.
It's funny though, because for the longest, I didn't even like TikTok. As the gen, I don't even want to call us millennials, whatever, older millennials. You like, I don't want to mess with no TikTok.
I still don't.
Them kids, I don't mess with. I don't want to see no bunch of people. But when I say it knows you, it knows you.
I don't even watch TikTok. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't have a TikTok account. I'm not gonna have one.
You're a little bit addicted because you will be up all night because it knows you. It knows what you want to see. So it puts it for you.
It knows you. LB Shari, as a group on the 3Ps, we will be having a TikTok. So you will, as
no, I won't.
A group, you will be having a TikTok. You will be a part of the TikTok gang, baby. I had came across the information about Emmett Till, and so we're gonna start off with that. The people of North Carolina are outraged, and they want Carolyn Bryant in jail. So I'm gonna just give a little backstory of Emmett Till. So, in August of 1955, Emmett was visiting relatives in Mississippi. While at a small grocery store, Carolyn Bryant accused Emmett of flirting and whistling at her. And back then, y'all know that type of behavior with a white woman was a violation of, Black men. They couldn't have that type of contact with white women. So Emmett Till was only 14 and Carolyn Bryant was 21. So since she accused him of that behavior, they tied him up to the back of a pickup truck, drove for miles, beat him unconsciously, shot him in the back of his head, threw him in the Tallahatchie River. And 3 days later, his body was retrieved and taken back to Chicago, where he was buried in the Burr Oak Cemetery. Carolyn Bryant admitted to lying about that whole thing. And now the Emmett Till family wants justice. And they actually just found a warrant that was actually unserved to Carolyn Bryant in a courthouse basement. What do y'all think about her? And that was just like a little in short. It was so much that happened with that case, but that was just kind of like the short version of it. What do y'all think about just her going to jail, or just your thoughts on this situation?
Well, I think with everybody that is Southern people, because for us specifically, we've talked about Emmett Till since we were younger. So we've known about the story of Emmett Till. And I think one of the only reasons they claim that Carolyn Bryant has never been arrested, well, before they found the warrant, the unserved warrant that was in the basement in Mississippi, what in the courthouse, was because she's never actually admitted to being a part of it. And her husband says that she wasn't a part of it. And actually, there were reports when the Emmett Till movie came out. Well, I think it was a Netflix, like some type of biopic that came out. I watched. Her family came out and said that she's never actually admitted, and she hasn't. She's never actually admitted to lying. What it was, there is a reporter that says that he got some type of interview with her lying. However, there is no proof of this interview. So no one has ever had proof that she said that she lied, and her family said it wasn't true. She's never even interviewed with this person. So we don't even know. I know us deep down inside know that she was probably lying. When you hear about the character of the young man, you know that the family says that wasn't the type of person that Emmett was. So it's just interesting. I don't think at this point they will ever do anything. That case has gone everywhere. They went to the Justice Department last year. Well, no, in 2001. No, it was 2000 or 2001. And they said they officially closed the case. I don't think they're ever going to give us justice for Emmett Till. Do I think she should have been prosecuted a while ago? Heck yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? No, because unfortunately, white female tears carry a lot of weight in this country. It's when they cry, the whole country cries for them. When we cry about something, it's that we need to learn to get over it and we have to be strong. So, do I think she deserves prison time? Yes. Do I think she's going to get it? No.
All right. My sentiments as well. What about you, Kelly B?
Yeah, I think that was BS. Yeah, I think I saw something about that story where they found it in an old courthouse, a arrest warrant for her. It's plain and simple. They weren't planning on giving it to her in the first place. Even the people that actually killed him, I think like in 1955, they were acquitted for his murder. So it's like with her, should she go to jail? How old is she anyway? And you know what? Honestly,
She's like 80 something.
80 something. Take her old ass to jail. I don't care how old she is. She can get the rest of it out there. Get it all. I don't care. So she old, and I don't care. This whole thing that because you old, you don't need to get justice going. Justice don't need to be served. Put her ass there. She ain't got nothing else to do. Put up in there. But I it's unfortunate. No, do I think anything will happen? Unfortunately, no. And I'm gonna be honest, I thought the lady was dead already because I had heard that she said on her deathbed that she confessed that it was a lie. So when I heard this story, I was like, I thought she was dead. But the old bat need to go to jail. Somebody need to rob her house or something, knock her upside the head with a bag of quarters or something. Somebody need to do something to her.
Well, there was this thing, Kelly, when they were talking about finding the old arrest warrant, they were saying people actually went. I saw a video of people trying to storm the nursing home that she's in and say, she's in here, get her. And so black people out there.
That's what they saying. They saying that the protesters are like, they found whatever senior living home she live in, and they like, get her out up in here. We want her. Like almost like they coming for blood. And I don't know if I think that's just because they just maybe no one ever knew that they had a warrant out for her before that was never served. And they just found that, and that's new information. So it's like, and it's so many back in the day cases where, it was like a code where you couldn't whistle or flirt, but that was something so easy that they could say that a black man did. And I just find that if you law. Like that was right, if that was like a law, it must. And if you knew that you couldn't whistle or flirt with a white woman, why would that be the first thing that as soon as you see the person? And she also said some other things. When she was in court, she said that he threatened her and said it was two other things like that he supposedly had did. And yeah, so
it's the propaganda that often happens that has started since Black people were emancipated from slavery. It's this whole thing where you want an excuse to hate us. You want an excuse to still treat Black people like absolute crap. So you make up these stories about, oh, she whistled, oh, she did this, oh, he did this, or this Black man is going to come and rape all of our women and do this and do that and yada yada, so that you have an excuse in your mind or whatever, to anybody else I don't even know, of why you are justified in taking it to that extreme, especially to a 13-year-old. I thought he was 14. I thought he was 13, but either way, it's like the extremes, like the atrocities that happened to people back in those days. And people like, oh, it happened then. It don't matter. It don't matter. You should be held accountable for the things you did. Unless she done sit up there and she done adopted the whole family. No, even that. Unless she done sat up there and did some extraordinary work where she done made some miracles turning into all types of stuff for Black people, I don't want to hear it and I don't care. Because people don't tend to give a shit about. People don't tend to care or have remorse about the things. What they say, you go to jail for stealing, you don't go to jail for getting caught. They don't care. Unless somebody actually brings it up and holds them accountable, it's like, why should I care? Oh, it's going to fester. Oh, they already feel bad. How you know? You know? Maybe not.
And his mother, she had the open casket maybe till she wanted to show that how mutilated his body was. And that seeing that back in the day, and just have to revisit all, everything that they have done to our people just because of the color of our skin.
So terrible. Imagine, I have a 13-year-old daughter. Of course, I have kids. My oldest is 19. I got a 13-year-old daughter. Like, to see like my boys be that small and to be that innocent, and to have to deal with those real adult problems, those real life harsh problems and things like that, to where it's like their lives are at stake for simply just existing. It's absolutely sickening. And the fact that a lot of times that people of other colors, and I ain't gonna say just white people, because I done seen other people, as long as they ain't us, they don't give a shit, have sat up there and just brushed it away like, oh, that was the past. But if we were talking about your kid or your history or your things, it would be a totally different something. But for some reason, we just not people. We just don't exist. We just don't deserve to be treated like people. Because like when I first saw the Emmett Till thing, it just put me in the mind of, and I saw it the other day. What was the youngest boy to get executed?
I think he was like 14.
Like 14 or 15. And when I
had
saw
to
that
keep him-
picture to this day, that picture plays over and over
he
and
was
over again in my
carrying
head.
his Bible, and they had to let him sit on it just so he could fit the head harness to be
I
electrocuted.
almost want to cry right now just thinking about it. It was so
And then, of
good.
course, didn't they just find him not guilty? Like,
because he wasn't guilty in the first place.
I mean, we knew he wasn't guilty, but
I'm about to tear up. I think my period comes.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about it that's really sad, which is something that's an effect of slavery, is that people often forget with the Emmett Till thing that there were also black men involved in his lynching. It wasn't just white men. Black men helped to lynch Emmett Till as well. Because what it was is there were some, I believe it was 2 African Americans that worked for the Bryant family who helped find, and they knew where Emmett was and told where he was, helped abduct him that night and actually helped hold him down in the truck while they drove off with him.
I thought I read something about like, it's definitely a story that it's so many different layers to it, and it's so many things of torture that they did to tie somebody to a pickup truck and drive with them on the back of your car, because that's the form of lynching, right? That they, instead of hanging them from the tree, they tied them to the car.
That's how
that's new. I've never heard that.
I've heard them tie people to trucks a lot of times with.
Because I was always even in the biopic, they've always said that they picked him up, they beat him in a barn, but I never heard about them dragging him behind a truck.
Yeah, I've always heard that, and I reread it. It's on, like, if you go to Wikipedia.
I don't trust Wikipedia.
But it's
the schools won't even let you cite it. I can't mess with Wikipedia.
Well, I'll just say allegedly, but I did hear that, like, back in the day, that they because I've heard them do that, not them necessarily, but like other white people.
No, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Because I know even when they gave their interview, I think what is it, Time or one of those magazines, when they gave their interview and said, if we had done it, this is what we did. They mentioned everything that they did to him. So, but their defense at the time was, if we did it, it was because he was mouthy. They claimed that because they didn't, to my knowledge, they didn't tie him behind the truck only because people would have saw them, because they did it in the middle of the night. And they snatched him out like at 2 or something like that in the morning. It was like really early in the morning. And they hid him in the barn of one of the local, I don't want to call it what's a plantation, but it wasn't being used as a plantation anymore. And they abused him because they're saying that they, pistol whipped him and they beat him and they knocked his teeth out. And they're saying they did all of that because during the whole time he was cursing at them and bragging about how he did this with the wife, which we know is not true. He didn't do that. But that's what their excuse was to the magazine when they gave the interview, saying, if we did this, we did it because of these reasons. They tried to justify doing it to a black man. Well, they kept calling him a man instead of a boy. They kept saying it to a black man because he was mouthy and he purposely violated, quote unquote, a white woman.
Okay. Sorry,
I
I
roll.
checked that out. But I
I
hope she. I swear, I just really hope she had a miserable life. I
She
hope
did.
her husband
You know she
cheating
did.
on her. I hope she could never find a list to none of her fucking Tupperware. I hope she sat up there. I hope she stepped on the nail. I hope she got bit by mosquitoes all the damn time. I hope a lot of stuff happened to her. I really do. I really,
Right.
really do. But unfortunately, it's just like that was one of the reasons why I remember when I first went to college and I was doing pre-law. That was one of the main reasons why I just stopped doing that. Cause I was like, this justice system ain't for justice. It really ain't. It's
Yeah.
about who got the scratch, who got the look, who can play the system, who can play people. And I was like, I can't. It's just so sad. It's just
Yeah,
so sad.
it is sad. So yeah, I heard it, but it like if that's not even even if they didn't do that, as far as tying him up to the pickup truck, it's just everything that they did, and to see the strength of his mother to
Man.
the strength of his mother to even have that open casket. um Man, it's like the strength that a lot of our people had to have back in the day to try to stand up for what they believed in and just how wrongly unjust things were. And and then I came across a picture of them actually celebrating with cigars in their mouth, the two white men,
Hmm.
Carolyn Bryant, like of the two white men's acquittals. And it's just pure evil. Like, even if, a lot of people that do commit crimes, and they probably have gotten to live their best life, basically, as we would say today. They probably had to, live their best life. And I just hope that, you know, they burning when they die. Like, I just hope that, like, if hell is for real and hell is hell and it's an eternal constant burning death, or just burning eternally,
Hmm.
and you just in agony, I hope that that's the case. But
It's like it sucks because it's like you definitely hope that, but it's like I'm definitely one of the people. I want to see you burn right here, right here.
well,
I got to see that because it's like what's the amount of hate it takes to not only kill someone but to go into beat, to hear those cries, to see his
yeah,
mother, to drag him to
and
keep
people, they
going,
said people
and like
heard
to keep that
cries from
energy
the
going. Yeah, to keep it going. Because I'm gonna be honest, I can't even have with my kids because the minute I see them like
I'm
scared of
like, come
doing
here,
something, I'm like,
babies.
okay, deflated. So it's like I couldn't imagine like doing that to somebody to the point where you beat, keep it going, keep it going till you kill someone, a child. It's like that's some hate.
Very.
I will say if you've never seen the thing on Netflix, Women of the Movement, you
Hmm.
should definitely watch it to anybody out there
Let me
because it's
write that
based
down.
on his mother's book about it. And so it's supposed to have the facts as she knows them. And it's a very interesting story. And I didn't realize some of the extent, like he got off. I didn't realize the politics behind it because there were people in Mississippi that were white that wanted them to go to prison for it.
And that's
But
probably who made the
but there
warrant.
was one main sheriff who made sure they didn't. So it's a very interesting story. It gave parts that we didn't learn about. So I was
Hmm.
just interested in it.
Yeah, I checked that out.
Well, speaking of going to jail,
I hope she got a bunch of bad sores too. Also.
and some just crawling in there.
I know. I don't want her to really be hurt. I hope your hip went out and ain't nobody you ain't have enough money to get it fixed. Oh, crotchety heifer. Man.
Right. I hope she got a bunch of bed sores. Okay, yeah. Speaking of going to jail, Eric Holder gets life for the murder of Nipsey Hussel. So I guess his only defense was since in the gang world, Nipsey, the conversation they supposedly had was that he snitched. He's a snitch. And I did watch some of like the court proceedings, and that might be his only defense, that basically he committed this murder because they both were part of a gang, and to be called a snitch, that's a violation in the gang world. So first off, what are your thoughts, Kelly, on just, even if we had to get ourselves in the mind of the gang world? Because if this had been somebody else, and this wasn't somebody like a Nipsey Hussel, obviously it wouldn't be news, because people kill each other in gangs all the time for whatever reasons, but what are your thoughts of his? I think his only defense is, I was called a snitch, so I killed him.
Okay. So his defense was that he killed him because Nipsey called him a snitch. But wasn't he a snitch? Wasn't he a known informant? So ain't nobody told no lies. So why you mad? I think what it is, it was ego. It was plain and simple ego. Here go Nipsey Hussel, a kind of big dude, known dude. Didn't know him myself, but known dude, and you come up, you trying to give him love, you trying to, be in that, be in that circle, be in that, even just for a moment, and here he calls you a snitch. Basically your ego got hurt, and he told you to get away from him, go play elsewhere, and you had an issue. He got anger issues. Didn't he just get out of jail too? So it's like, I mean, it's a defense. Is it a good one? No.
Well, you said, did he just get out of jail?
I think he just got out. Old boy just got out of jail, right?
You know what? I think something, I have to look at that. But yeah, I think something, I think he had just like ran into Nipsey, and then came, like they had a conversation. I think somebody showed a picture a long time ago that they actually, I think, was in a picture together or something like that. So it could be a lot of, like you said, jealousy, hate, envious. I've heard stories that basically, I don't know if he wanted to be a rapper or anything like, but somebody coming from the same place you're coming from, and they rise to the top, and they known, and they just this big deal, and we all know that jealousy fuels hate in people. They become envious, and they will kill you. People have gotten killed for the Jordans on their feet, by somebody just wanting to wear the shoes you have and not having the money to purchase those shoes, and they looking at you, sizing you up like, oh, okay, he looked like he wear my size, bam, I'm gonna kill you.
Snitch thing, that's like a if you're going to be in that gang culture, for you to be a snitch is something you ain't supposed to be doing. So how you mad that he called you what you were? Now, me personally, it is what it is. If somebody talk about me going to jail versus you going to jail, guess who's singing like a canary? But what is a little bit bogus is when you stay in that culture and continue to do, because a lot of these snitches do continue to do illegal activities and break the law and do things, but then you turn around telling on people for doing the same thing you still doing. Now that's look a little crazy to me, but I think, gang culture, period, is all crazy. But I understand why people go through it, do it, or whatever. But it's. I mean, why you mad at him for calling a spade a spade? Your feelings got hurt basically, and you didn't know how to process it, so you went and took a person's life.
All right, LB, what do you think about this whole snitching gang culture, or what are your thoughts on just like even just gang culture, period?
I'm sorry, I was over here trying to read it because I really don't know nothing about this. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know who Nipsey Hussel is. When folks kept talking about Nipsey Hussel got killed, I was like, who the hell is Nipsey Hussel? I had no idea, because and I've lived in California, but I just,
Well, you know,
When I look him up, I'm looking at him and he just sounds like Suge Knight to me. I know it sounds mean, but he just sounds like somebody who was in the gang world who dropped an album. So I didn't really know who he was, other than the fact that he had a baby mama, a wife, or girlfriend, or whatever, to share with Lil Wayne. That's the only thing I knew.
Well,
I don't know who he is. So I just looked him up and I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't know. And I understand everybody saying how influential Nipsey Hussle was. And I'm just so confused because you upset for somebody for snitching on gang culture, but I thought you were trying to get rid of gang culture. But I don't understand. So that I'm not going to agree with everybody on that. They're going to probably hate me for this, but can you get mad at somebody for snitching on gang culture when you're saying you want to help the Black community? Well, the gang culture actually is destroying the Black community. So I really don't know how he's supposed to be this great pioneer because I'm not getting it yet. Maybe I got to read more about Nipsey Hussle and learn who he is. But right now, I don't get it. Now, as far as snitches getting stitches, I do know about that. Go out in the hood. So I can tell you when you snitch, it's problematic. And I don't have a problem with it because I know I feel the same way. If you snitching, you learn to be quiet, mind your business. I know it's the street code, but at the same time, also the street code is destroying our communities as well. So it's for me, I'm just kind of on the fence. I understand when I'm reading this, the defense was that not because they're saying it's a crime of passion, which I get. Crime of passion will get you off because people say, oh, I had a break I was so emotional. I couldn't stop myself from doing it. So that's what they're saying, that he just got upset after the interaction, I guess, with him and decided to shoot him. I get it, I guess, but I don't get it. I'm confused. I'm just going to say I'm confused, y'all. People out, I'm confused.
It's understandable because honestly, when I first heard of Nipsey Hussle, I think it was 2015, and it was just with my son's father, and we just happened to be in Vegas, and he was playing this song, I'm gonna live like, I'm gonna edit that out, my life, but he was playing this song, and I kept saying like, who is that? And he was like, Nipsey Hussle. I had never heard of Nipsey Hussle, and I believe it was like 2014, 2015. Nonetheless, I started to listen to him as a rapper, and I did start to just try to understand a little bit of who he was because I did like his music. Now, the day of his murder, I actually had got a job to make 200 cake pops in LA. Now, I was tired and I had stayed up all night making 200 cake pops. And my ex, he drove them. His brother was in town. He was taking our son to the beach, and he was going to drop off the cake pops for me. And they got stopped in traffic. And while they were stopped in traffic, I just so happened to be looking on, I think I first got the news on Instagram, and that Nipsey Hussle was shot. And I asked him, I said, what street are you on? Because he had to go that way where Nipsey Hussle clothing store, Marathon. It's like on Slauson Avenue, in like the Crenshaw area, I believe. Basically, he had to go that way. And as he was approaching, when he was able to cross, he did see like the blood on the ground. And I was like, I had told him like, before he like approached the scene, I said, you're actually on the street that Nipsey Hussle had just got shot. Now, I'm an energy person, I believe. And just the news of his death, it felt weird in the city of Los Angeles, just being in California. It was like and I don't know if it was because so many people knew him, and then just everybody, it's like you could feel it. You could feel that energy. You could feel like just the sadness and everything like that. And yeah, so other than that, but him being a part of I believe it's called the Rolling 60s gang. And I'm not
like an album.
huh?
The Rolling 60s. It sounds like an album, like now 23.
I'm not all for obviously the
So
gang.
did he get life, or is he got found guilty? Because I told you I'm having to read this. I didn't know.
They say he's getting life.
They say he's facing up to life in prison.
Oh.
He's being sentenced in September.
Okay, well.
So Nipsey, okay, so let me ask a question. So with Nipsey Hussel, like, but I guess because I'm still trying to read this. I told you I don't know who this man is.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So let me.
I just know from what I heard.
He got all of this legacy stuff. What exactly is it that he did? Other than the going from the gang and start rapping, is there something major that he did for the community? I'm asking, not to be funny.
Buying up the block, like wear his clothing line and just he just started to be more profound. Like, you know how people come from a bad background and they start to change their life. Now, I don't know if he was still part of the gang necessarily, because they never necessarily tell us, like, I don't know if he ever said he got out of it or whatever the case may be, but it kind of was just, I used to be a part of this type of, I came from the streets. I did this. And it was just a whole of, now I'm turning my life around. I'm trying to be a voice for the people, especially the young guys out here, because sometimes when they have somebody that they could look up to and that has done the things that they did, and then you trying to employ people and you're trying to teach people about like the ownership of we should have property and everything like that. So he was starting to really be very like just prolific and profound and just a movement and trying to drop them that knowledge on everybody about, buying up. Like, so I think he used to rent from that plaza. And then when he got the money or he ended up buying the whole plaza. So just trying to drop gems and, tell us, his life changing around. And so, yeah, he'd be, people like to listen to that, and like to hear a story of somebody that has overcame their past.
I think he was very much so like it was the West Coast? West Coast,
yeah.
West Coast thing. I told you I know a lot about a little bit of things. Geography ain't one of them. Yeah, like West Coast. I think he was just popular kind of there, because I'm gonna be honest, I ain't know nothing about him until this happened. And honestly, I still don't know anything about him. I know he's Lauren London's baby daddy. And
yeah, I mean,
I couldn't tell you.
That's what happens.
I couldn't whistle it. I couldn't hum it. I couldn't. I don't.
That's what happens. I mean, he was definitely starting to make his mark. Like, hadn't he? The thing about when people's life end prematurely, it's like when you start to see the men or the women that they start to develop into, and you could almost start to picture what they could have, gave to the world. And then something as senseless as, because I called you a snitch, but I'm saying it's senseless, but I'm not in the gang culture. So if,
I think it's still senseless.
It's senseless, in my opinion as well. I think it's very senseless, because it's like, dude, it's just a word. No, but it's like, I mean, whatever type of conversation that they was having, and if you were really, like you said, being a snitch and an informant, you were. So the fact that I reiterated that to you was worth my life. It's just the things that people would take somebody's life for, like even if it was a crime of passion.
And then it's like, what's a crime of passion? Anything where my anxiety is heightened and I'm feeling some kind of way can be described as a crime of passion.
Exactly, because how well did you really know him? I mean, when I think of crime of passions, and I've heard those type of where like women or men are in a relationship and somebody's been done wrong so many times or whatever, and they just snap, versus you just, man, he called me a snitch, I'm about to go. But you had a whole getaway driver. Like, that sounds a little bit more premeditated. Like, so you was, or maybe you called her within, because I had to, he, from the time they had that little talk and then when he came back, it wasn't that long. So somebody was just able to, I'm Johnny on the spot. She had spoke on a stand too, but Johnny on the spot.
The getaway driver?
Yeah, like you had a whole getaway driver. You Somebody,
Imagine him getting in the car, but he probably had a gun on him. But imagine him getting in the car talking about drive. I
I
just
think
shot
he
somebody.
left
He'd
to
be like,
go.
get out! Like, what is you doing?
I think he left to go get the gun, you know. So it sounds a little bit more premeditated. It sounds like something he was thinking about doing, and you know, because they say Nipsey is not. I don't think he really always be by himself, you know. So you never know. People watching your movements and knowing that, like, oh, okay, he ain't got really much people around him. I'm about to go approach him, scope out the scene. I'm about to come back because I know he's not, you know, armed really, and catch him off. You caught the man off guard, and
I do feel bad for her though.
Oh.
Because they said, I guess she was in a casual relationship with him. She said she unwittingly drove him to and from. Can't imagine, like, you over here minding your business. You think you taking this man to the gas station. And you literally end up, because she said she saw him with the gun before the shoot. So you literally
You Lara
randomly, like, because, you know, in the big scheme of things, she could almost be, you know, accused of accessory, but she wouldn't even trying to be accessory.
This is why we need to be smarter with that too.
and who
Because
you
you're
dealing
loud
with,
sleep.
like,
Don't be going to pick up no jailbirds.
and
I
don't be
doubt
dating
you
no
have
people
some
in the game.
prospects to be like, oh, this is the great guy for me. I need to be
I
hanging
can't
with
judge
him.
it. I done dated a gang member myself. I know about gang culture, so I can't judge it. So I'm not gonna say I grew up around in an area that has a whole HBO documentary about their gang life.
Shoot, me
So
too. But I used to be like, what? Shoot, I had this one dude that I dated. He was like, would you ride or die for me? I said, hell no. He was like, you ain't no rider, nope. And you better not tell me no stuff. Because I'm here to tell you. If they come and ask me a question, I'ma tell it. I'm not going to jail for nobody. If I'm going to jail for something, it's gonna be something I did.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah,
So
I just
don't
never.
tell me that. I am not that ride or die chick. Sean ain't. You a snitch, y'all.
I never wanted to date a gang member, a person that sold drugs. Never. When I think about being with somebody and if I'm going to be in love with them and then the potential of them getting killed, going away, it's like, well, bye. And then they want you to stay with them while they in jail. And I got to put my dating life or my life on hold because now you're in jail and
don't have no kids with them because they don't get Social Security, especially if they ain't worked.
Right. And I've had family that have went to jail and, you know, even women that was with certain family members and they was accepting it, taking the money and doing all this. And then, you know, yeah, I'm not trying to date nobody. I ain't even trying to be in that situation because I ain't trying to deal with all that.
It give you anxiety. I can imagine it will give me anxiety. It's like, I don't know, I got to look behind my shoulder. People come for you. Because, like, even at a certain point in time, I don't reveal. It's like when my uncle, he was doing the stuff that he was doing. And then my auntie will go over there to the west side and they be asking, you know, is you so-and-so sister? And my auntie be like, yeah. My mom used to get irritated at that. Like, you better stop telling people you related to him. You don't know what. You got something against them. What is wrong with you?
Exactly.
Like, what? No, it's like that's not something that I don't. It's like, yeah, it seems flashy, but you know what it is? I think it's because, like, you know, depending on like areas and stuff like that, a lot of people, if you know you want to more in life, you do want those things that you never had, like the materialistic things and, you know, money and stuff. It's like, if that's the quickest way to get it, and these are the people that are around you that have access to those things, and, you know, these are the men around you that have access to those things, then that's the person you're gonna go to. And ain't like it's a bunch of bankers and stuff sitting around now, you know.
Right.
And then if you like, you know, depending on who you are as a person, because I know I personally, I couldn't date a banker, I couldn't date a lawyer and stuff like that because I'm a little ratchet. So you go with who?
Be like on Set It Off, Jada Pinkett, she was ratchet, but he was so
So it's like I can do
you
a
know
middle.
what I do find weird though? I'm gonna be the shady evil one real quick. The thing that I do find weird, I think it's odd to me that when I'm looking at this, they saying after he died, he got voted, you know, best BET male artist in hip hop. And I'm like, but is he though? I feel like sometimes we have a bad habit of just because something was cut short that we have to automatically give them an award. That doesn't mean necessarily they were best of something just because they passed away. The difference for me, when you think about people like Biggie and you think about Tupac and you think about Aaliyah, They actually have proven track records of hits, and they had albums, multiple albums that, you know, charted well, did well, had hits. So it's different when they give them the posthumous award, because you're like, okay, I see it because they did that. So I just think it's weird that just because he was slain and he was starting to make a name for himself, that would justify giving him these awards that I don't think necessarily he earned quite yet.
And
And I think, unfortunately, we have a bad habit of doing that. We have a bad habit of awarding people just because they died. And it just kind of doesn't make sense to me sometimes.
And it's a little stupid because they not going to see it. That's like that whole thing with giving people their flowers after they've gone. Like he can't, you know, feel that. He can't, you know, he can't be gracious for that. His family, yes. And then you're taking it away from somebody else who probably actually kind of deserved it more. That's the same thing they did with Chadwick. When don't get me wrong, Chadwick deserved a bunch of stuff, but it's like y'all couldn't get that to him while he was here. Why you waiting until when he dies, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, let me recognize him now.
So and that was what I was saying. Like somebody like Chadwick is different. Chadwick had movies upon movies upon movies prior to that. Nipsey Hussel to me only had one album. I don't know that he actually had one official hit outside of California because he wasn't really playing like that. So to me, it's different to give Chadwick or Ali or Biggie or Tupac an award versus giving him one just because he passed away. It doesn't make sense to me. But go ahead. To each his own.